Domaine Paul Mas is one of the leading wineries in the south of France. The Mas family has been growing vineyards in Languedoc since 1892. In the year 2000, Jean-Claude Mas, owner and winemaker, created Les Domaines Paul Mas from the 35-hectare vineyard he inherited from his father, Paul Mas. Les Domaines Paul Mas are the gateway to the universe of rural luxury, le luxe rural. While respecting our rural roots and preserving our environment, we highlight our exceptional and diverse terroirs. We craft our wines with creativity, authenticity, and refinement, with the goal of making great wines that will give you a unique moment rich in emotions. This is real luxury. The story begins at Chateau Paul Mas in Connas hamlet, in the splendid town of Pézenas, the city of famous playwright Molière. The estates then expanded to Montagnac with Nicole Vineyard and Mas d'Étain, to Malras near Limoux with Domaine Astruc, to Gaja et Villedieu with Chateau Arrogant Frog, and to Serras with Chateau Cré Ricard. Domaine Paul Mas is made up of more than 230 hectares, that's 568 acres, of owned vineyards, to which we can add 800 hectares, 1,976 acres, of contracted vineyards. We work with more than 30 different grape varieties, both native and noble, and a fantastic diversity of terroirs in the Languedoc region. This diversity comes from the geographical location and the geological formation of the region, bordered by the Mediterranean to the south and by mountains to the north. Geological shifts have created a variety of different terrains, from lightly rolling countrysides to more or less distinct peaks. We're in a region with a Mediterranean climate, hot and dry summers followed by mild and wet winters. We have a variety of winds: the tramontane, the cold dry wind coming from the northwest, le marin from the south, warm and humid, and the mistral from the north. Jean-Claude Mas makes the most of each climatic zone to make his wines. He is often described as one of Languedoc's pioneers, part of the new wave of French winemakers, one of those on a mission to give Languedoc its former glory back, in a region where vine culture is over 2,000 years old. The wines from Domaine Paul Mas are sold in more than 45 countries over the 5 continents. Chateau Paul Mas, l'Origine, is made of 2 estates: the castle and a 25-hectare or 61-acre vineyard in Connas near Pézenas, the cellar and an 80-hectare, 197-acre vineyard in Nicole near Montagnac. The Connas hamlet in Pézenas is the historical cradle of Domaine Paul Mas. Located on the Ile de Connas estate, the castle has a long history, going back more than 1,000 years. Domaine de Connas was split in 1792 and sold at auction. Only the chateau and the mill remained together with 27 hectares, which became Raymond Mas, Jean-Claude's grandfather's property from 1954. Domaine Paul Mas were created at Chateau Paul Mas in Connas in 2000 by Jean-Claude Mas. At the start, the chateau housed the offices and laboratory, before they were moved to Nicole in 2006. Nowadays, Connas and Pézenas vineyards sum up 25 hectares by the Hérault River, mainly planted with Merlot, Cabernet Sauvignon, Marcellan, Sauvignon Blanc, Chardonnay, and Viognier. The Nicole vineyard lies outside the village of Montagnac, on the hills overlooking the Hérault Valley at 100 to 120 meters above sea level. It is surrounded by pine trees and hills. It is 6 kilometers from the Taupe Basin, famous for its oyster production, and the Mediterranean. Chateau Paul Mas's cellar in Nicole houses an 80,000 case capacity winery and a barrel cellar of 400 French and American oak barrels. The vineyard covers 80 hectares and is mainly made up of limestone and clay limestone soils. This is where we have our Clos de Savignac, Clos des Murs, and Les Dons plots, which give birth to our icon wines. The vineyard is planted with Syrah, Cabernet Sauvignon, Mourvèdre, Carignan, Cinsault, Viognier, Chardonnay, Sauvignon Blanc, and Grenache Blanc. Our vineyard is Terra Vitis certified. All our vines are managed according to sustainable viticulture, whose backbone is to develop the plant's natural immune system by allowing it to reach the best possible balance with its environment. At Chateau Paul Mas's cellar, we make our Appellation Coteaux du Languedoc wines, as well as some organic wines from our nearby vineyard. Across the street from Nicole Vineyard is Mas d'Étain. Acquired in 2006, it covers 30 hectares. Organically farmed, it is planted with Cabernet Sauvignon, red and white Grenache, Mourvèdre, and Carignan. This setting enjoys a privileged situation, well protected and nourished by the healthy wind from the northwest. We are now at our estate Château Cré-Ricard, where we produce our Grand Cru Terrasse du Larzac wines. This estate was built in 1960 at the place called Cré-Ricard in the village of Serras. Jean-Claude Mas acquired the estate later in 2010. This is a 28-hectare vineyard located on the fabulous terroir of Terrasse du Larzac, where our vines produce velvety wines with intense flavors. At the foot of Mont Baudil, the geography of the vineyard is unique, with pebbles, slates, and red earth. We make 10,000 cases with our low-yield vineyards, planted with Syrah, Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, Carignan, Chardonnay, and Roussanne. Here we produce our appellation wines Onotera, Stécia, Les Hauts de Milésie, as well as IGP vines such as Alexaume and other varietal wines. Let's now leave the Mediterranean climate and head for Domaine Astruc, DA Winery, and the Terramas Astruc Vineyard. This is where we produce our Grand Cru Limoux wines in the foothills of the Pyrenees Mountains. The Pyrenees Mountains are more than a border between Spain and France. Thanks to their sheer latitude and position, the Pyrenees divide two large climatic zones with different vegetation: ocean influence to the west and north, continental and Mediterranean to the south and east. Limoux city lies in the Pyrenees foothills in the Aude county. The river Aude runs through the city and 20 kilometers further through the famous medieval town of Carcassonne, a UNESCO World Heritage Site. The Terramas Astruc Vineyard is located at 300 meters in altitude, and although close to the Mediterranean, the region's climate is mid-Atlantic, mid-Mediterranean. This gives a perfect climate for the production of Limoux Grand Cru. Chardonnay is the king of the grapes, but we also produce other white and red varietals. Terramas Astruc Vineyard is made out of 50 hectares, 123 acres, with 25 planted on the Limoux appellation and grown according to sustainable viticulture. They are Terra Vitis certified. Here we produce our Vinus, Terramas Astruc, Domaine Astruc, Pierre-Jacques Astruc, and Valmont wines. Each of these wines comes from specifically designated vineyards across the Languedoc. They are bottled on site, where we have all the latest technologies to preserve the wine's qualities that were produced with the utmost care. At the Domaine Astruc winery, we make 600,000 cases of wine from both our grapes and those of the contracted growers. We work with 70 growers, and our relationship with them is based on long-term trust and the pursuit of excellence, because we're only looking for top-quality grapes. We give them full technical advice throughout the year, from pruning to picking. Our success depends on theirs. This is how, year after year, quality keeps improving and our partnership grows stronger. DA Winery in Malras has an additional cellar in Marseillette, near Carcassonne, which allows us to be closer to our contracted vineyards. thermal amplitude, the difference of temperatures between night and day, is high on this dried lake, where we have non-grafted plants. This is what allows us to obtain very aromatic white wines. Finding the appropriate balance between the soil, climate, and water resource for each of the 30 grape varieties we produce is one of our main concerns. We have more white grape varieties in Limoux and more reds in the Hérault Valley. The balance between a grape variety and its environment is one of the key determinants to great wines. We age our red wines and some of our Chardonnays in oak barrels and in vats, aiming to create the best complexity while preserving the fruit character. We are committed to eradicating chemicals from our vineyards, which are now being replaced with organic certified products. The future of our wines will depend on how well we protect our environment and our workers. Real sustainable agriculture must put the emphasis on the quality of the soils. It must allow the implementation of an ecosystem that will favor the development of the organic life deep into the soils. The plants can then have better access to the water and nutrients to perfect their immune balance. All our wines are made with one goal: to create a moment of pure and authentic pleasure while enjoying a glass of our wine. This is the promise of our rural luxury.